How's it going, YouTube? JammyTheKid00 here, coming to you guys with a new deck profile for January 2014, and also I'd like to say Merry Christmas Eve. It is the 24th of December, hopefully, if you're watching this on the upload date. But that's all I'm going to talk about Christmas-wise. We are here to talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! And I finally managed to get in the stuff to finish my Bujin deck to the up-to-date state of Shadow Specters. This is TCG legal. I only use the real TCG cards, so there will be no OCG things like Peacock. So, because I've started to get people commenting saying, why aren't you using OCG cards? Because they're not out. I play TCG decks. I play the TCG. Either way, I'm going to show you guys my Bujin list. This is the first build I have ever built of it. I have not tested it at all on Dueling Network. I've literally built it, taken it to my friend's house, and filmed the duels that you've seen me film on my channel. I literally played this about 3 times at that house, and that's all the times I've been able to test this. The deck has changed slightly since then, but I will talk about those changes when I get to them. So we're going to start off with the mandatory 3 Bujin Yamato. This is your go-to guy. This is who you want to get to 99% of the time, 100% of the time. You want this guy on your field for as long as possible, and the only time you want him off the field is if you're exceeding him into a Bujin Exceeds. At all times during your game state, you want to have a Bujin Yamato on field. Or failing that, you want to have one of your 2 copies of Bujin Mikazuchi. Mikazuchi is the inferior brother to Bujin Yamato, where Bujin Yamato is able to constantly add and then send from your hand Bujin cards. Bujin Mikazuchi doesn't have that effect. It does have a 100 attack higher body and a significantly higher defense compared to its bigger brother Bujin Yamato. Sorry, its better brother, not bigger. However, it does lack in the fact that it can't cycle through your Bujingis quite as easily as Bujin Yamato. It does have a good effect where if you've sent a Bujin from your hand to the graveyard during this turn, while the Bujin Mikazuchi was face up on the field, you can search out a Bujin spell or trap, meaning you can search out Bujin Carnation, which is basically Miracle Fusion, very easily, but it is kind of awkward to set that up because almost always the only times it's going to activate are if you've used Bujingi Crane or Crow, or if it's been on the field when you've used a Bujin Yamato effect, so it doesn't trigger that often. But it's still an incredibly powerful card, and the ability to replace Yamato at any point in the game when Yamato dies with this due to Mikazuchi's effect, it's pretty powerful. Sorry if you can hear quite loud rumbling in the background. It's incredibly windy outside. It's a pretty stormy night while I'm recording this, so apologies if you can hear that on the camera. We're now going to move into the Bujingi cards. We play 3 copies of Bujingi Crane, the honest of the deck. Bujingi Crane, a 1600 card that really should never hit the field unless you're going to summon into an Xyz immediately. It is your honest of the deck. This deck plays 4 copies of honest. It's a light deck, so it plays honest itself, but it also plays 3 copies of Bujingi Crane, which are capable of doubling a Bujin monster's attack. Something I should also talk about is a ruling with Bujingi Crane. Bujingi Crane reads that the monster's attack becomes double its original attack. This means that you completely ignore any attack and defense modifiers that are currently present on it. If the monster has been lanced, it becomes 36 and then immediately returns to its original attack. From what I've been told, these are the rulings I've been told. I've heard it from quite multiple sources. So if your monster has been Forbidden Lanced, the monster will go back. If your Yamato has been Forbidden Lanced, it will go back to 1800 after you crane it. If it's been Forbidden Lanced and you crane it, it will go to 36. It won't go to 36 and then drop by 800. Differently, Tenki then will still affect it. So after it goes back down to 18, Tenki will put it up to 1900. It doesn't get stuck on 18. But if your Yamato is on 1900 due to Tenki and you crane, it will only go to 3600. It will not go to 3700. Again, from what I'm told. Carrying on, we play 3 copies of Bujingi Turtle. This is the best protection card in the deck until Bujingi Hair comes out. Turtle just says, whenever one of your Bujin monsters would be targeted by a card effect, banish this guy, negate it. Pretty simple, but it's also quite helpful because he protects any Bujin card, not just Bujin Beast Warriors like every other Bujin support card. Bujingi Turtle can protect your Crane, other turtles, Quillin, or Crow, or Centipede, so you can protect a great number of cards in tough situations if you should need to protect them. I'm then only playing 2 copies of Bujin Quillin, the face-up card destroyer, the Atlantean heavy infantry of the deck. I find myself only ever needing 2. Like, I feel that 3 clogs a bit, there's not that much room in the deck, so 2 is a perfect number. I do side the 3rd, however. I then play 1 copy of Bujin Centipede as our on-demand spell and trap removal. Some decks just have spells or traps that you want to remove as quickly as possible, and Centipede helps you do that. And the final Bujin card that I'm currently testing is Bujin Crow. For those of you who don't know, because some people won't know what it does, Bujin Crow is similar to Crane in that when one of your monsters is attacked, so this does occur on attack declaration, you can discard this card, negate that attack. And this has to be discarded from the hand to the graveyard, negate the attack, and if you do, inflict damage to your opponent equal to half the attacker's attack, and you can only use 1 of them per turn. So Bujin Crow is pretty cool in negating things. It's really effective against Colossal Fighter. This deck has a lot of trouble with Colossal Fire, and Bujin Crow completely stops Colossal Fire in his tracks, and it just helps against some of the other cards that you just can't have attacking you. Like, for example, Ally of Justice Catastor, which Crow isn't going to help you against. Which Crane isn't going to help you against. So Bujin Crow is helpful in all those other situations in which Crane just doesn't really do the job. So carrying on into the non-Bujin cards, we play 1 copy of Thunder King Ryo. This is different from my original profile, my original deck in the duel videos you will have seen. In those videos I was playing 3 Maxi and no Thunder King. I'm now playing 2 Maxi and 1 Thunder King. And I vastly prefer this version. And they're playing 1 Brotherhood of the Firefist Bear. This is on-demand spot removal from Tenki. It's a Beast Warrior, so you can use it into Xyz into Bujinte Kagutsuchi. And it's just an incredibly complementary card to the deck. It works really nicely with Tenki. It's an alternative search with Tenki. It's just a really good card. And also in situations where you don't have access to a Tenki or a Bujin Yamato or Mikazuchi, using this card in the right situation to attack and get a Tenki can set you up with your Bujin centerpiece. Then for hand traps, I play double Maxi. I feel that 3 is a bit much. I'm considering switching these out into Effect Veilers, because I feel that Effect Veiler is a better hand trap this format. But 2 Maxi has been serving a purpose fairly well at the moment. It's definitely not an awful card to play. It's just something that I think I might prefer Veilers in its position. And then the final hand trap and final monster I play in the deck is Honest. There is a stupid almost OTK with Honest and Bujinte Susanowu if your opponent has enough monsters, due to the fact Susanowu can attack all of your opponent's monsters once each, and Honest retains its attack boost for the entire battle phase. So it's a similar play to OTKing with Blackluster Soldier Envoy of the beginning. So it's rather stupid, and I've never personally done it, but it is something you can do with the Honest. So that's the monster lineup. For the spell lineup, there are things I would change, but it's simply because I don't own that many copies of certain cards, so we're just going to get into this. I play the 1 Dark Hole. Sometimes you need to completely clear your board. Yes, you do want to keep your Bujins on table, but in situations in which your opponent is going to overwhelm you anyway, or you don't have a Bujin centerpiece on board, by centerpiece I mean Bujin Beast Warrior, sometimes Dark Hole is good in those situations. I then play 1 Book of Moon, because it's an incredibly versatile spell. 1 Kaiser Colosseum. I really like this card. It's incredibly powerful in this matchup, in this deck, because you only ever have 1 monster on the field, realistically. I would play 2, but I only own 1. That's my simple explanation. And the last one is Bujin Carnation. Bujin Carnation is Miracle Fusion for this deck. You special summon 1 Bujin from your grave and banished if you control no monsters and your opponent controls at least 1. And you don't have to use them for an Xyz, but if you do choose to use them for an Xyz, it has to be a Beast, Beast Warrior, or Winged Beast. I feel this card is incredibly powerful, but I think that playing it at more than 1 is an incredibly bad idea, because it can be very dead. In some situations, if you don't get it set up in the first place, you're going to have a lot of hard time banishing that 1 Bujin to make this live. And then later on in the late game, if you're establishing your board presence, it's not a card you want to see if you've already got your Bujin centerpiece on the table, because you're not going to be without monsters unless your opponent is really going to push over you. So that is the 1-ofs. For the 3-ofs, I play 3 copies of Pot of Duality. This deck almost never special summons unless it's going to be going into an Xyz play, which it shouldn't really have to, especially in the early turns. So 3 Pot of Duality is a must, in my opinion. I then play 3 copies of Fire Formation Tenki. This card going to 3 really surprised me, but it really does aid this deck. Fire Formation Tenki is essential in this for getting to your Bujin Yamato as fast as possible. Ideally, turn 1, you want to have a Bujin Yamato on your field. So Tenki assists that. And instead of Mystical Space Typhoons, I'm currently playing 2 Fire Formation Gyoko. I'm testing these to aid me in locking down my opponent's back row when I fear Mirror Force, because that's an incredibly powerful card against this deck. And it also boosts your monsters by 100 attack points, your Beast Warriors by 100 attack points, which can be incredibly strong in boosting Yamato up to 1900 and Mikazuchi up to 2000. Attack points which are both incredibly relevant because your opponent can almost never normal summon a monster bigger than 2000. I mean, the biggest normal summon, I believe, is like Zombira the Dark, which no one plays. So making those monsters 100 attack bigger, and having access to Vanity's Emptiness, which you do play in this deck, or other ways to stop your opponent's special summoning, or just summoning over you like Kaiser Colosseum, it means your opponent cannot normal summon over your guys, and they become a lot harder to kill. So I really like Yugioh in the deck. I do side deck 3 Mystical Space Typhoon, but these cards have just been putting in a lot of work. So, I mean, my mentality may be flawed, but I really like them. For the trap lineup, the traps is something that I would love to change, but I'm making do with it for now. I'm playing one copy of Bujin Relic the Sword, sorry, Regalia the Sword. I only really like one at the moment. I don't feel the need for 2, but I could be persuaded to change to 2 when other things like Hair come out, when I will want to be putting them in the grave a lot more often. My only 2 of in the deck, the only 2 of trap I play is 2 Vanity's Emptiness, and I side the 3rd. Vanity's Emptiness is incredibly strong because it allows this deck to completely lock the opponent out of special summoning. Vanity's Emptiness in tandem with a Bujin Mikazuchi or a Bujin Yamato with a little bit of protection is almost an unbeatable field. So you gotta love Emptiness. Gotta love Emptiness in this deck. And then for the one-off traps, I play 1 Mirror Force because I wanted to keep the deck at 40, and my other 2 Mirror Forces are on loan. 1 Compulsory Evacuation Device, 1 Bottomless Trap Hole, 1 Torrential Tribute, which shares the same mentality as the Dark Hole, and 1 Solemn Warning. So that is the complete main deck. For the extra deck, it is basically a rank 4 toolbox. I'm pretty happy with it. There are maybe a few things I'd change, and I'm waiting for things like Silent Honest Shark Knight coming out, because they're incredibly powerful rank 4s. But this extra deck is already pretty powerful. So we're going to start off with 2 copies of Bujin Deck Susanoo. This is your go-to Xyz. This is the Xyz you should make the most, in my opinion, and with good reason. It can attack all your opponent's monsters once each, and it can attach a material to search your deck for any Bujin and either put it in your hand or put it in the grave. So I really like it. A card you really don't need to play at 2, but I play at 2 because I own 2, is Bujin Deck Kagutsuchi. Bujin Deck Kagutsuchi, when it comes out, mills the top 5 cards of your deck and gains 100 attack permanently for each Bujin sent by that effect. And then also it has a Mace Stroke-like effect where if any Bujin on your field would die, he can detach a material instead, and it doesn't get destroyed. So he's really powerful in that situation. He can also be made with 2 Beast Warriors, so he can be made with Bear. So I really like Bujin Deck Kagutsuchi in that. I play 1 Brotherhood of the Fire Fist Tiger King. This is an alternative choice to Bujin Deck Kagutsuchi for usually situations in which you wish to skill drain your opponent. If they have a field of monsters that you can't kill all at once and they're going to prove a threat to you, you can skill drain them all if they're not Beast Warriors. And you can then search your deck for a Tenki, which you can usually then use to set you up with another Yamato for next turn. Because he's going to be special summoned, he can search out either a Tenki or a Gyoko and set you up. Play 1 Constella Omega. We're playing a deck of lights, and this gives you complete immunity to spells, which I have made a couple of times in the face of 5 back row, so why not? I then play 1 Starliege Paladynamo, again a deck of all lights, and it's able to negate any monster and put any monster's effects and put its attack down to 0. So I really like Paladynamo like that. 1 Utopia because it's a light and he's a nice generic Xyz. 1 Mace Stroke, the Symphony Djinn. You should almost always make Kagutsuchi over this card, but it's in there mainly for its flip face down effect. Number 50 Black Ship of Corn. This is mainly in here for Zen mains. The deck actually has a surprisingly slow relationship with wind up Zen mains, and it takes it a little while to actually get around a Zen main, so Black Ship of Corn is in there for that. Photon Papilloperative, again a light, it's just effective at doing what it does, which is changing stuff to attack. 1 Daigusto Emerald. Emerald is just a really good choice for recycling the big Bujins you've gone through. You only play 5 Bujin Beast Warriors in main deck, so sometimes you just have to put them back in the deck. I then play 1 Abyss Dweller for the Mermail and Plant matchups and the Dragon matchup. 1 Gaga Cowboy because 800 for game is crazy, and 1 Evil Swarm Ouroboros for situations which demand it. You should never make this card, but sometimes you'll need it. that is the complete extra deck. There's not much I'd change until the next set comes out. Now onto the side deck. The side deck is purely experimental. I've made some picks for the meta, mainly to showcase you guys actual meta picks. This isn't what I would take to any kind of event, but it's just showing you. The third Quillin for decks which require a bit more destruction, decks which play T-Roar or Wabaku, I really like this card against. So Insectors and things like that, where you really just need to kill off their monsters before they kill you. So Quillin is the card. Double Fossil Diner, because I absolutely love Fossil Diner. This is in here for the Mermail and Dragon matchups primarily, but it's also quite effective against the Yugioh matchup, the Yugioh Karakuri matchup, because they set up their entire field while this is face down. They flip it face up with a Bure, or they flip it up face up by attacking it, and they lose their entire OTK, and they lose quite a few resources through that. So double Diner. The 3 MSTs, because there are a lot of back row cards that can hurt us. Macro Fissure, Soul Drain, those cards are all pretty big against us. And the 1 Twister as well to help deal with those problem cards. You really do need to get those cards off the field as quickly as possible. And you also need to be able to counter your opponent's DNA surgeries when they try and turn off your Beast Warriors and make them into anything like an Aqua or a Machine. You really need to be able to counter those DNA surgeries. Something I'm testing for Agents and the Mirror Match primarily is 2 copies of Leeching the Light. This is something I'm actually having a lot of fun with. Leeching the Light lets you face off your opponent's Yamato with your Yamato, and if you go Leeching the Light, if you have a tanky out, you can't lose to Crane, because your guy will always be 37 if you copy their Yamato, whereas theirs can only ever be 36. I don't know, I have a lot of fun with it. Yes, it does lose to Turtle, but I've been having a bit of fun with this on Dueling Network, testing against the massive numbers of Bujin players on there. The third Vanity is Emptiness, again for the Dragon, Yugioh, and Mermail matchups, which I feel are going to be big decks going into the next format. It's also incredibly powerful against the Plant deck and other roguish things like Zombies. Again, less effective against things like Fire Fist and the Mirror, but hey, you got to have it for the special summoning spammy decks. I'm testing 3 copies of Debunk. Debunk is, in my opinion, it's one of my side deck picks of the format. It's incredibly powerful in the Mirror Match. It's incredibly powerful against Mermails, as people have known since May. It's incredibly powerful against Dragons, now that the Dragons are all at 1. It means they have to have DDR or Dragon Carnation to get their Dragons back in the game, otherwise the Dragons are completely out of it. So the 3 Debunks are a must, in my opinion. And then 2 copies of DNA Surgery, mainly for the Prophecy matchup, because Prophecy is still a thing. And I absolutely love being able to turn every single Bujin in my deck into a Beast Warrior. It makes Kagutsuchi a lot easier, and it means that, hey, all your Bujins support all your Bujins. So I really like DNA Surgeries in the side. So yeah, guys, this has been a Bujin deck profile for the new format. I hope you guys have enjoyed. You've been calling out for this deck since I did it. I mean, last format, since I did the Judgment the Light deck profile, and I'm glad to say that I finally managed to finish the deck. I'm sorry for the misplays and just general bad playing that I did in the earlier video. I was very new to the deck. I am going to be endeavouring to practice a little more before I bring you guys any other videos with it, but please forgive my transgressions and my just general bad playing. I'm not the world's most perfect player. And otherwise, I think that's about everything. I'm gonna leave you guys there. Like, comment, subscribe, all that cool stuff. Leave me any feedback, any changes, any comments on the build in the comment section down below. Otherwise, yeah, Merry Christmas. Hope you've enjoyed, and I'll see you guys probably tomorrow with some more Yu-Gi-Oh based content. Peace out, guys. Bye.